Will data analyst position survive AI? This is something that I've been thinking of recently, and I've just used ChatGPT to get some help with the answer. But I find ChatGPT quite pleasing sometimes, and I think it already decided that I probably want to hear the good news, and it tells me that yes, data analyst roles will survive. However, this and that. And obviously, the big but is yes, they will survive, but you need to start using AI. You need to incorporate AI in your position rather than fighting against that. So, as long as you are using chat or copilot and so on in your positions, you can be safe, let's say, that yes, your role will survive. So this is actually what the chat is telling me. I'm just thinking about that, and I guess I need to agree with that. And I tell you why. It's because when chat or AI was first implemented, was introduced in our company, it was around maybe 3 years ago, which is relatively recently, let's say. I felt very uneasy about AI. And I do remember clearly, actually, and that was such a fatwa, I think French would call it. Two fatwas. So one was from me, because at one point there was such a massive pressure on us to start using the AI. And I do remember we had this team meeting in one of the rooms. So we would normally have team meetings once a week, every Wednesday morning, and so on, so forth. And we're giving each other updates on what we're working on, but also what's happening in a larger team, and so on, so forth. And at that stage, actually, there was a massive pressure on us using the AI, and every person actually, and it's around 15 or 17 of us there, was basically saying about their experiences of how they use the AI. And at this stage, actually, I didn't use that at all. I was thinking like, okay, cool, so every one of them saying that they actually use AI, so I'm just going to go with true me. So looking back, actually, I think I should have made something up. Being truthful is great, but I think sometimes it's better to say a white lie. Not a lie, but just a tiny one, just a white one. And I said, look, I haven't used that, and I don't think I'll be using it in the nearest future. And everyone was like, oh my God, what's she talking about? And after that, I was thinking, oh geez, I should have handled it differently. So I was very much encouraged actually to go back to my desk and start using AI. And in fact, actually, I called someone over, because we did have an expert, and I asked her to help me out with that. And to be honest, since then I just became addicted. I'm actually using it nearly every day. Now, my daughters, especially the younger one, she's 18 now. She absolutely hates that, because she's very much pro-environmentalist, right? And she always says every time you use that, polar bear gets killed. And I get that. But at this stage, I'm addicted. Even now, look, I've got the other phone here, and I'm actually using it to. I was curious actually what my ChatGPT would say actually about the future of my role. So I'll tell you how I use that. I'm using it a lot to in my coding. Today is Sunday, and actually I give you the detailed example actually from Friday, which is from 2 days ago. And also I'm using it a lot to type in emails, especially the detailed ones. Sometimes I do feel like skipping the details, but I just cannot escape it sometimes, and do need to provide more details. And those are the two key scenarios for me. Plus lots of others, but let's say, coding and typing emails and generally typing messages and so on and so forth. Actually, they're the key ones. I do try to use that to analyze the data, but this is, and I do use that occasionally, let's say, but it's pretty much a mixed message. So I just say the situation from Friday around my coding. So I do use AI to translate SQL code. I tend to work in SQL most of the time, and in Tableau. And it's quite funny actually, because Tableau language is quite, sometimes it's structured differently to a SQL language. And I do like if I need to build like a really long case statement, sometimes I struggle. But let's say if I do know that I've got this case statement somewhere in my codes in SQL and in Visual Studio and so on, I just copy and paste that to either Copilot or ChatGPT, and I say, look, translate it into Tableau, and it's done within less than a second, right? So I use that for my coding translation, and also the opposite way, right? But I also use that for larger pieces of code occasionally. Let's say my coding recently hasn't been really this complex, right? But on Friday I did have a bit of a challenge. So I needed to create a code that calculated p-value. And if you ever used SQL, you know that calculating p-value or creating the code to come up with a p-value is an absolutely pain in the neck. Yes, you can do it manually. But there is not a built-in code or option like to do that for you automatically, and I actually used ChatGPT to do that in Pythonic language, in Python, because essentially I run the code in GCP shell, and there is an option actually to run it in Python. And because Python is something that I rarely use, I didn't feel confident scripting that part of the code from the from scratch. And I described the problem that I'm trying to resolve in AI, and actually it did everything for me. The job was done probably after 2 or 3 hours. Granted, yes, it wasn't 5 minutes, only because there was a couple of iterations, and every time actually the piece of the code was added, I was thinking, oh, actually, no, this can be changed, this can be changed, this can be changed. And essentially, it created something that I can use pretty much straight away. I managed to automate that. There was another issue, actually. I did have some issues with automation. This is why it actually took so long, but I needed to talk to a data engineer to help me with that. And how it's done for me, actually, it applied the right colors in the right places. So essentially what I wanted to achieve was a couple of calculations in the within the data set that was actually stored, the table of which I used in GCP. I wanted to keep a couple of tables, and I wanted to do calculated fields like rates of one item versus the other and so forth, and for 3 various time points. And then I wanted to calculate the p-values, and I wanted them to be highlighted in various colors, hues, actually, depending how big the difference was. And actually, ChatGPT did everything for me, and it was brilliant. So and it saved the document in GCP that I could in my own bucket, so I needed to create one for this. But when I download the document, it actually comes with the colors, and I didn't even know it was possible, but it is. So I thought it was pretty cool. The other one, the other use case scenario actually for me using ChatGPT is when I type. So nowadays I don't type at all. I absolutely hate typing. I just record myself, and I say, record myself on ChatGPT, and I say, oh, just reward the message, and it does it for me. And then and now I'm into the mode to say it. I know I should be saying it straight away, but I only learned that after a few experiences like that. I said, look, give me a mixture of sentences and bullet points. It's because for some of the messages that I'm recording, sometimes they are like explaining the processes, sometimes I'm just sharing the insights. And I find it personally, I find it better actually when I share the insights in bullet points that, oh, actually, decrease here, increase there, and so on and so forth, and it's driven by the X, Y, and Z. And it does it for me, and it just saves so much time. And then again, another example from Friday. So I wanted to type an email to my manager. He was actually off, and he's going to read this email on tomorrow, actually, when he's back on. But I thought I know he's going to be logging in early, right? He's going to log in earlier than I will, and I thought it would be nice, actually. I think it would be nice for him to read an update from me. I was thinking, oh my god, so many things were happening actually, when he was away. So I just type it all in. But then again, rather than me typing it personally, I just used ChatGPT. I recorded myself, and then I only did some editing here and there. So that was pretty much cool, actually. So yeah. So going to the original questions, whether AI is going to replace the data analyst, I think as of now I feel safe. Yes, I am using it. Yes, I am incorporating it. But let's say I'm not worried. As of 2026, I'm not worried. Probably I'm not going to worry for another few more years, and then future will show. But then again, I think we're all going to have the same questions. So if you do want to become a data analyst, I think it's still a good time. There's still some opportunities for you. And yeah, just start using AI. Thank you.